evening and welcome to this edition of A Walk Down Memory Lane. I'm your host, Earl Basin, and joining me is co-host Dennis Brown. We are joined by our guest this evening, Mr. Stephen Dickinson and Mr. Kevin Grant, as well as Mr. Stevie Riley, who's having a bit of technical difficulties, but hopefully he can get on. Dennis, the two that we have with us thus far this evening, looking at them as opponents at times, must be some excitement for you to talk about the times and the battles. We'll start off with Stevie, who fluctuated between St. George's and Devonshire Colts. Did you have a stint with North Village, Steve, as well?
Or Vasco, was it?
No.
I couldn't hear a thing.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you loud and clear. Okay, let's have it.
Okay. So
I tell you, I'm getting nervous that, man.
Take the glasses off and you can hear us. Take the
take your glasses off.
But we were talking about the fact that you played for Devonshire Colts and St. George's. Who else did you play for?
Vasco, right?
I played for Vasco for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I played for Hood House for a little bit too. Like maybe Vasco, I lasted about 6 games. I didn't like the atmosphere there at all. I didn't like the energy. Hood House was a bunch of old guys trying to get together, trying to beat these young guys, and I couldn't keep up. It was over.
And obviously, Kevin spent most of your time, if not all your time, with North Village. How was that?
Yeah, well, it was good. I spent most of my time, well, I would say my formative years, I like to call them that, was at Devonshire Cougars.
Yeah.
And then after, I think I went to the Pan Am Games with Phil Trott. And he was having a conversation with me, him and Gumbo, actually. They were the older guys in the team at the time. And they were saying, well, Kevin, you could either come and try to play some different football, or you can stay and play with your friends. So I ended up going over there to the village with a lot of friends as well. So, good experience in both camps. Camps, I would never have any regrets of either camps that I played in, and especially. And I have a lot of appreciation for that foundation that I was provided with.
Definitely a pleasure to have you guys on. We all go back a long way, from especially Kevin from primary school. Yeah, I was with Kevin in the 1980 youth sport. We got to the second round of I believe we got cheated by the Americans. Once we got to the knockout stage.
Yeah.
I basically known Kevin basically all my life, really, and it was always a pleasure playing with Kevin. And I'll get to what I used to enjoy about playing with Kevin as we go along, as well as Stevie. It was always a pleasure. It was always a battle against Stevie. Stevie was one of these competitors who never gave in. He didn't care how big you were, how strong you were. Stevie was one of those guys. Never say die, guys, and very skillful with. People always used to say he was left-footed, but I always thought he had both feet. His feet were good, So Stevie was a really good guy to be with in the national setup, as well as competing against. So it's a pleasure having you guys on, and it's gonna be good to ask you guys some questions about your journey.
So let's get right into it. Steve, when you were moving around, what was some of the basis of why you went from club to club?
Well, when I was playing for St. George's, it was fun when I was playing with the older guys, and someone to look up to and respect. So as I got older in the team and younger guys were coming in, I felt like I wasn't respected as a player. So I wanted to improve my game and be around guys that respected ballers as a baller, not as the person. So they can think what they like off the field, but on the field, just let's respect each other. So and that's where I went to Devonshire Colts. and I was respected as a player, and I felt a big part of that team. It was a lot of fun, a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah. Well, as you often would have heard in St. George's, Steve is a sailor.
Yeah, yeah. I used to sail that ball in the net, dude.
And Kevin, for you, obviously, as a defender, at times you've got to face off against someone like Stevie, or you've got Dennis coming forward from Somerset, even Stephen Riley here, always a threat. What looking at this makeup of guys here on this set tonight, break down some of the things your challenges with each one of them.
Well, let's start with Stevie. And Stevie was an attacker, so quite often I had to be running up against him quite often. But he had a good, I think, like Dennis said, he could kick with both feet. So, sometimes, if you try to guide him down the line, he could switch up and go on his right side. Or if you try to guide him the other way, he'll switch up and go on the left side. So, very good player, very strong player. And the reason why he scored a lot of ball free kicks. A lot of dead ball free kicks. But everybody said the reason why he could do it was because of the joke you guys made earlier. He knew you win. He knew how to judge the win, apparently. So that's why he was so good at this dead ball kick. That was a joke you guys used to have in the national. That's a joke. Yeah, that's a joke we used to have in the national squad about it. So yeah, he knows the win. What you expect? But a very formidable player. And Dennis, where I would run into Dennis is because I always consider myself an overlapping fullback. So most of the time, if I was getting past the winger and the fullback, usually was Troy, Barkley, may rest in peace. I'll be marking him all game. And then I'll be trying to overlap down the line. And then if I get past the fullback, then Dennis would be coming over to say, "Hey, Andy, no." So very strong player in the air, and I hated to mark him. I used to say, "I'm marking Dennis, man. Why are you putting him there? He's the best header of the ball, like in the island." I'm like, "No, I don't want to mark him." So I'll go to on the post most of the time. But Dennis and both Stevens. That's one of the things that I see as a difference now in the game is because the physicality and the athleticism of the players back then was far. I don't want to sound biased, but I just knew that, guys put much more into their preparedness for a match. I think that's why we had so much a good competitive level from the number 1 team right now to the number 10 team. Very competitive in the first division. We used to call it back then. So both formidable opponents there. And Stevie Riley, if he gets back on, he used to be he remind me of like Georgie Best, like how he just floated all about the field, but very skillful, very, very skillful player in his day. And you could listen sometimes for long periods of the game, but then all of a sudden, he popped up, made a crucial pass, and set up Troy Barkley to score a goal. So, just being able to compete and enjoy those days back then with among the quality of players was definitely something that I enjoyed.
Dennis?
Yeah, and I could reiterate.
And of course, I played with these guys in the national team all the time too. So.
I could reiterate what Kevin said. Back in the day, every game was competitive. I don't care who was playing a game.
Oh, yeah.
And Kevin would kick the crap out of me or kick the crap out of Stevie, and we good back at him. But at the end of the day, at the end of the game, you shake hands and you move on. You know what I mean? So, it's football is about give and take. And I always tell players today, if you play football and don't expect to get kicked, you need to go sailing or something like that. Oh, sorry, Stevie. Something like that. You know what I mean? So football is a contact sport, and you're gonna get kicked. And the higher level you go, the harder the kicks are. So the first question I'm gonna have for you guys, because I want to know, how did you guys first get into football? this question to both of you, and it's a two-part question. How did you first get into football, and who were the biggest influences on you guys when you were coming through?
Yeah, Steve.
Okay, well, I started right in primary school, St. George's Pratt,
Okay.
and I went to school with Randall Smith, Delbert Minus, Dana Minus,
Mm.
Michael Smith, Mouse,
Wow.
and as you know, these guys are pretty good footballers, even at a young age. Um, and we actually won the six-a-side tournament against Burzard. I think it was Burzard back then.
Right. Yeah. Bullseye. Yeah.
Yeah, Courage Bow. Stevie was there. I think Bailey was there. A
Kevin
couple
Bailey.
other guys. Anyway, we won the six-a-side tournament. And then after that, I started playing with Wellington Rovers, and the biggest influence was Mr. Quentin Mallory.
Mm.
He saw something in me, but the only thing I didn't like was Carlos Breeze and I always used to have to substitute each other. We're half each, he played the first half, then next week we'll change it around.
You're the youngest.
Until we got a little bigger and grew in the game, then we started playing regular.
Okay.
Kevin?
Yeah. Well, I like to say I got really interested in primary school. Was then we started competing, but much of my interest came about from the yard kicks I used to have. Like 15 against 15 players or something in a small little area where you had to have skill, you had to have toughness, and you had to have all sorts of things to be able to survive because the makeup of the teams were like it wasn't everybody who was uh, 11 or 12. It was guys who were like from 10 all the way up into 18 or whatever. That was the makeup. So that was a lot of my influence when it came about, playing football. I had so many guys who were playing football around me in my neighborhood, like guys like Willie Baxter, Winston Baxter, those guys who talking about past, and players like Diego Steed and Donnie Hill and like Evan Emery and right, Stevie? And Emery, yeah. I mean, it was a number of players who actually did have an influence on me. Randall Joe Trott, of course, who always was like almost like a encouraged me a lot, through my football career. And definitely a lot of the guys who played in the Devonshire Cougars team. But I just felt like one time, I'll never forget, one time I was playing primary school. And this is when I think I must have had a passion for football because my teacher, she saw me the next day after we had played, I think, at the start of Central back then. That was like Andrew Bascom and Vincent Simmons and Weeks and a couple of those guys. Nicky Saunders played for Central back then, the high jump. He's a pretty good baller, actually.
Yeah, he was.
So I'll never forget, after that game, the next day, my teacher comes to me and says, I saw you play the other day, Kevin, and it seems like you're going to a zone. Like nobody can say nothing to you when you play football. It's like, your passion is so much there that nobody can say nothing to you or whatever. You're just crazy running up and down the field. But I mean, I guess that's when, I really picked up the passion for it and tried to excel in it, So I guess that's where I got a lot of my foundation.
I guess in the second part to Dennis's question, how did you end up with the first team you played for?
The first team I played for Devonshire Cougars. Well, I was always in the junior program. But actually, I started off at North Village. Under Dr. Erlin, who was another very good influence. Mm-hmm. And after that, we played cricket one summer with Devonshire Rec, and then everybody who was playing out of North Village came over to Devonshire Cougars. Big exodus, apparently. Too. And that's when I met players like Paul Pierce.
Yeah.
Paul Pierce, and legend. And we played in the junior ranks. And I started off in the junior ranks. I used to play center half, really. Yep. I guess that's because I had this a little bit of speed at that time. So basically cover a lot of ground, and I started off in center half position. And then after that, um, I was noticed by Winston Cotrot, who was the coach at Devonshire Cougars at the time, because apparently one of the players got injured at the time. And he was playing against Devonshire Coast. That was my first game. Played against Devonshire Coast in a Martin game out at BAA Field. And they needed a fullback at the time, and I had a good bit of speed. I guess I had the what they were looking for, and that's where I got my start. Got my start playing for Devonshire Cougars from the junior ranks. Came up through there.
And
McDonald Bullshorn was the hero of the neighborhood back then.
and Steve, moving from Wellington Rovers to St. George's Colts, why was that move made?
You know, I couldn't even really tell you, but I just wanted to play. I think Wellington Rovers sort of, you know, lost our organization type of thing for a while, and St. George's seemed quite organized, so I started playing that. And plus, my brother-in-law played for St. George's, so you know, I was a big follower of him, Sub Noah Smith. I just cleaned his boots, burr his boots. I used to do everything. So he was a big influence to me going out there as well. But I just thought Wellington Rovers just, you know, weren't it for me anymore. They just lost their organization, so I went to George's.
Okay. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, Dennis, you can ask the next question. We'll be right back.
We're welcoming back the often featured Whole Food veterans Bragg Live Food Products, renowned for their live probiotic organic raw cider vinegar and savory seasonings. Paul Bragg is the man behind the products and has originated health food stores, restaurants, and spas, and promoted nutrition education through the media, helping lay the foundation for the enlightened way we make healthful choices when we shop for and prepare food. This month we're featuring Bragg Organic Raw and Unfiltered Apple Cider Vinegar and Organic Extra Virgin Olive Oil. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
Welcome back. Dennis?
Okay, to Kevin. I remember way back then when you were actually playing for Cougars, and I remember you, like you said, you were also a good center back in the youth division. And is that where you got the nickname Amaral? Am I correct? It was a Brazilian defender who was Amaral, and that's where you got that nickname?
Yeah, you're correct. Everybody wants to know where I got that, I guess, Portuguese name from. But as a Brazilian name, my nickname, it was given to me by Donnie Steele Hill. We used to call him. Donnie Hill gave me that name because it was a Brazilian fullback.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget one time. I came from Somerset. I played against Somerset. We finished the game. Can't remember the brother's name, but he was always around football as a fan. And he saw me after the game, you know, and he was well versed. And he came up to me and said, "Yes, Kevin, yeah, they call you Amaral, but you'll never be Amaral." Because he knew Brazilian football, like he knew the real Amaral. Like, and he was a pretty good fullback. But yeah, I got my name from that yeah. Donnie Hill gave me that name.
And also to Kevin, because he was probably one of three great overlapping fullbacks that I played with in my career. David Sabur was another one, and Jack Castle was another one.
Mhm.
But Kevin, these guys to me were like blinking wingers, man. You know, and they really advanced that position in Bermuda at that time. You know what I mean? Kevin, David, and Jack Castle in relation to overlapping. They were all good crossers of the ball. You know, they could finish at times, but yeah, Kevin was definitely one of my top three fullbacks that I played with. We came through in the under 80 national team, like I said, national youth team. We advanced to the second stages against USA, which we were fortunate to lose 2-1. But Kevin was somebody that I always admired and looked forward to playing with. You know, when we are coming through. So that was you know my thing to Kevin. To Stevie, one question that I've always asked St. George's people: why did so many St. George's players play outside St. George's? because looking back, like all Somerset guys wanted to do was play for Somerset, and I look back the amount of St George's guys that played elsewhere. If St George's, those guys would have played at St George's, they would have been a force to be reckoned with. Why did so many St George's guys play outside St George's in that era?
Um,
You, Al Farbert, and Mackey, and Clevey, and it was so many.
I think all of us just want to be respected as a player, and we weren't getting that in St. George's. You're playing with your mates and everything, and it was just a lot of different things going on in St. George's as far as football was concerned. And you're right. If we had all stuck together, we would have had one strong, strong team. But that's the way the ball bunches, they say. We decided to hang on. And the reason why I left was just to be respected as a baller. I wanted to improve my game, and I want to play with players that were good players. They loved the game.
Okay, and another question, Steve. So once you got to Colts, what was it like to be in that environment and to also play with probably my center back hero, Lorenzo? What was it like to be in that type of environment? Because Lorenzo was my center back hero. What was that like?
Oh, it was a wonderful experience. When I first started playing with Coach, I didn't make the team right away because I was in the junior national team then, and there was a few players before me. But I eventually got my turn, and when I did, that was one of the players that really encouraged me to keep pushing was Lorenzo, and he was a very, very smart player, very, very. So he knew the game, and he would see things and he would tell you about it. This is what you should do. Look, let's try this or let's do this. A very good skipper, very humble, but he wanted the job get done, and it was definitely a pleasure. It was a pleasure playing with Devonshire Coach. I played with Jeffrey, I played with Jimmy, I played with Johnny, all these guys that were good players. I played with Gary Darrell, Albert Dillon. They were lazy players, man. I had to run for them. So I only enjoyed
The
it.
youngest player.
Little
The
time with
youngest
them.
player.
I was being only running for them.
You're the
But
youngster.
I was just
yeah,
going to ask you that.
yeah,
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 that's right.
yeah. But yeah, it was a wonderful experience playing with Devonshire Coach, and that's where I found myself. I really started to play some really consistent football. Um, it was a couple of players that I didn't like to go up against. Dennis and Granty over there. Granty was like grease lightning. I always said if I was about 3 steps faster, that guy can't catch me. Ever. And I needed those 3 steps so I had to find a different way of getting them around, getting around these guys. But yeah, I'll say it again that playing with Devonshire Coach was a wonderful experience.
Mm, mm. Let's talk a little bit about how a game that stands out for you, no matter who you was playing for, and why that game stands out for you. Kevin?
If I have a game that I can remember that stands out for me it was a series of matches actually that took place up at Somerset, and we were playing against Vasco da Gama, Devonshire Cougars. We're playing against them.
FA Cup.
Yeah, it was FA Cup. We must have played about three games back to back.
Yeah.
Against them, and it was back and forth, and very competitive, very star-studded, and it was just the competitiveness over those 3 games. I think Vasco went through too.
Yeah.
Because they went into the final, and I was just enamored by the amount of players that I was able to compete with on that field, like during that particular series of games, because we had Dasha Douglas with us, we had Dago and Mustafa Rashid, or Maynard back in the day. you know, and Vasco had the twins. They had Malvine, they had Cracks, Darrow. Yeah, they had a really, really star set, and I just really enjoyed the competition that had transpired during their series of matches. So I know that's one of the games that stood out for me with Cougars. But with North Village was a special game that we had when we played against um, PHC, and that was done at Wellington Oval, and that was the Mortimer Cup. And Garrett Dio Crunchy, I think he comes on the show sometimes. He was the coach at the time, and um, we were actually able to win that game. And I'll never forget it because I was up against my old teammate, Buller Anderson, and we were going at it the whole time. Uh, Very competitive, and I never forget it was a. I think the photographer took a picture. Me and him was pointing at each other. I think I still have the photograph, but that was my. He was a good teammate with me at Cougars, man, but he was a pain in the butt. And he played against you. You know what I mean, Rock Ron? You guys know. I mean, Buller, boy.
Buller was special.
Yeah, but that was two of the matches that really like stood out for me. I mean, I was I always tell my son I was just really blessed to play with so many good players. I mean, at North Village, I played with all of those like Andrew Bascom and Herbie Bascom and David. The brothers there. I played with Elliot Jennings and Casey Simons. Yeah, we were a pretty good team back in the day. I remember one time we was playing for North Village, and I said I should have said this game I should have said this particular match because Robert Poldren had coached North Village this season. I think it was Robert, and I think Willie was assistant. And we hadn't lost a game that whole season, but we didn't win the league. Boulevard won the league that year, and I'll forget it. They came out to BAA to watch us play against some hotels. That's right, and we were leading them 1-0, but they came back through, I think, Ricky Hill, and they were able to edge us. No, actually draw with us, and that draw allowed Boulevard to actually win the league. That was a remarkable match. I forget that one. Yeah, and we had lost the game all. So I'll not forget that. That was no village. We had a serious team back then on form. But hey, that's how it is sometimes. Football's amazing, isn't it?
It is.
Yes, it is.
Football's amazing. That's why you love your match. I mean, all of us. I mean, you love the sport because everybody wanted to see England do something the other day, but Italy have been on that's 34 games now run, right?
Yeah, 34, something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. Where they haven't been defeated. So, a mate of mine always says that the football gods don't lie.
Yeah. Steve, what about you?
I would have to say 1 year down at St. George's, because at that time Devonshire Coast, that was St. George's Devonshire Coast Field, and we played hotels down there, and I was involved in the Hill 5 girls. We scored first. I scored the first goal. I remember it so clearly. Earl Richardson went down on the left side. He took on a player, and I was just outside the box on the left-hand side. He crossed it, and I hit it first time. And Sam Newsom was the goal, and it was just he couldn't stop it. He just couldn't stop it. It was beautiful. Then Hotels came back. What had happened? I received the ball, and I tried to hit a long diagonal ball. It got intercepted, and they went right down there to score the goal. I said, like, why couldn't I just play it short? And then we went back up again. So it was 2-1, and then Hotels, and one of my, I should say, one of the guys that really made my game to a different level every time we played together. And at that time, Kevin Bailey was playing for Hotel. I got the ball. Kevin took the ball from me, and I was trying to run it down. He slipped it. They scored. I said, no, not another one. So that ended up being 2-2. So the last goal we got, like I said, I was involved in all of them. I received the ball on the right, had this long diagonal ball to Gary Dow. Gary Dow dribbled, chipped across to Mitchell Alice.
Yeah.
Mitchell Alice.
Wow.
And he tucked it away. I said, that's it. That was beautiful. I said, they go because I was involved with too many girls, man. The next one I would say was against Somerset down in St. George's. The game ended up 3-3, and I actually missed the penalty. By the goalkeeper saved it. I mean, most guys would say, by the goalkeeper saved it, you'd have missed, but that's a miss.
What did you say that day?
Huh?
What did you say that day? The goalkeeper saved it, right?
Yeah,
that was a good competitive game, and we were back and forth, and our theme was that you come down to George's, you're not supposed to get beaten in your own backyard. And then Roddy Bratcher was coach then.
Right. Yeah.
So really, that season we went undefeated down St. George's at that field. But I can remember after that game because Stevie and I, our heads were wrapped too tight when we was playing ball. The intensity of the game always used to take us at another place. I think I tackled Stevie, and he just gave me this look. So I was dribbling up on the right side, and here comes Stevie, full blast. If I didn't jump on the man, the man would have killed me. So after the game, we sort of had our words and all of them, but we've been buddy pals for years and years. So that was Summers against the Georges. That was it. That was nice. Yeah. I got one more too, and it was Devonshire coach at we played Somerset at Somerset. And we had Somerset 1-0. Gary Darrell scored that game. If you can remember correctly, Dennis, I was on the left flank, and I carried the ball around the defense, and Dennis Gary came running in and just put it in the net. Lou was in goal, and then we was hurling you until Tricks got the ball. Now Tricks. That's why they call him Tricks. He twisted Jimmy Tweed all up. Of course, the damn time. Game ended up 1-1, but hey, that was a beautiful game, and we was just back and forth playing some really, really competitive football, and there were some good guys playing, man. Some really, really good guys playing. It was exciting. A little disappointing, but exciting. I could have threw Jimmy over the fence that day. Why tackle him? Don't tackle him. Instead of doing stuff. Yeah.
It was that blood rushing to the head, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I weren't too happy at all because the game was, you love to be on. You like to be, you love to be competitive, right? And to give something away, you're like, what the heck are you doing, man? Not in the box, man. Take him out. But Tricks was so tricky. Hey, very, every single time, man. I'm never seeing a player more tricky than that guy. And one-sided, left foot in. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Dangerous level.
Let's take a quick commercial break, Dennis. When we come back, get back up, all right?
Yeah, cool.
All right, back.
We're spotlighting our old friends Woodstock Farms, who started up 50 years ago in the belief that we need more trustworthy natural food sources. Starting with one product, their line, mostly certified organic, is now more than 250 strong in 10 categories. This month we're featuring accoutrements of the barbecue, for us the pinnacle of home cuisine and one of the few forms of restorative recreation now within our reach. Try Woodstock Organic Sweet Relish, Tomato Ketchup, Baby Kosher Dill Pickles, Sauerkraut, and Hickory and Original Barbecue Sauce. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
Dennis?
Okay, to both players. So one of the things I've always stressed over the years as a coach is for players to do the extras. We did extras. I did extras in my day and before me, and I learned a great work ethic from George Brangman because George Brandman always used to say you need to be fit before preseason training. So George Brandman, every time you saw after 24th of May, you saw George Brandman start his preseason training. So that rubbed off on a lot of us in Somerset. So the question I'm gonna ask you guys is, what did you do to make sure that you were in peak physical condition? Because Kevin had to be in condition to be up and down that line, and then Stevie had to be in physical condition to be the type of player that he was. So what type of training did you guys do outside of your personal or your team training to prepare yourselves?
Yeah, Kevin.
I always try to stay in some form of shape. Mainly used to do a lot of road running because of the need for endurance. And then also I used to, my extras, I used to do a lot of, I would call it sprints, like shuttles, in order to, especially on incline, and then recovery runs. Like try to always make sure that, when I'm overlapping, I still have to get back and still do the other part of the job, which was, defending. So I used to do a lot of actions as far as first thing in the morning, make sure that I try to do those circuit runs, like, to make sure that I try to be in some form of condition. I used to always have a joke with Elliot Jennings, and he used to say, "Yeah, you couldn't be unfit back in the day because there was so many people watching the game. You don't want to be that embarrassed, because he used to say to me, Amy, you couldn't be unfit back then because so much people were watching the game. You would look out of sorts if you were not in some form of shape, because I think that's always why the competition back then was so fierce. I think everybody tried to do a little bit of extras. So, yeah, I think that was just part of the regimen. And that was something that, I really learned that Devonshire Cougars was taking care of yourself, and especially eating right. Had a lot of good eating habits over at Devonshire Cougars.
Scorpion?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, a lot of people don't remember that name.
I always train very, very hard. Always look forward to training with the team, but outside the team, I will always do my runs. I will go maybe 4 miles, and I'll try to cut the time down every time. I try to do it faster and faster each time. Done some weight training, and obviously in the off season of football, I was sailing, so the legs were like super strong, the abs, the shoulders, everything was getting worked out. So, but yeah, I done a lot of extra work because I didn't have the skills that a lot of guys had. I didn't have that dribbling type of fancy, flashy type of stuff. I had just my passing ability, my shooting ability, and my work rate. Maybe now and then a little cardio, right? But that's no hard start, the whole pile of stuff. It ain't gonna happen.
Quick 3 steps.
I figured that if I'm fit, then I can do these things. And if one of part of my games went on, then the fitness level can take me. The heart, the drive to keep working, and all that type of stuff. So I done a lot of extra stuff to stay in shape and make sure that I was ready for the game. And believe it or not, a lot of people don't know this. Like before every game, when Crockle's Chicken was open, a bear and a piece of Crockle chicken, like half an hour before the game.
Whoa!
Yeah, I get my piece of chicken and a Crockle bear. I'm ready to go.
A beer?
Yeah, a beer.
What was the restaurant? What was the restaurant out Wellington just before the club? You used to have hamburgers in there too.
Oh,
yeah. You used to have hamburgers in there too.
Yeah, I better go touch their hamburgers. I'll tell you that. So guys used to tease me in the change room. He said, because they used to call me bird. He said, no wonder you fly around like a bird. You're eating a bird.
That was his name, Bird.
But I tell you, being in shape is because like right now I'm tired, man. I'm worked completely out. I might go for a walk now and then, but as far as really getting into some physical fitness, my time's up, bro.
Rest time.
You know what it takes. You know what it takes to get up there. Unbelievable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Hey,
Dennis.
Emmy, I'm gonna take you back to Cougars again, man, because I remember Somerset Youth, Somerset Juniors or whatever, playing against, and I think I remember all those guys coming over from village like Pierce and Clevie Campbell,
Hmm.
uh, Owen. What was Owen Spider Emery like to as a teammate? Because that guy to me he was special, man.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, I
He
think he
was.
went to but to me, and he even played with you at Devonshire Coast, Stevie. Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
yes.
he
So
did.
what was Earn Emery like? I mean, I always remember Earn as a little arrogant little bugger.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
That was the
yeah,
young.
Still around the
Oh
field, yeah.
yes.
he was an arrogant bugger, but
Oh
to
yes.
yeah.
me, he was in that era. He was one of the best.
Mm.
Oh,
Coming.
Everybody.
definitely.
Yeah.
What's it like with him?
I mean, everybody would argue if who was the best sportsman out of that group because Andre and his
Yes,
brother, and
yes.
then George was
Andre
his
and George.
brother.
Yeah,
Ern was the middle one in the
yeah,
middle. And like I said, when we used to have this 15 versus 15 games, I mean, you would see his skill level so high. I mean, he was very, um, I would say, skillful with the ball to his feet all the time because he was a very good dribbler.
yeah,
Very good dribbler. Hit the ball with both feet, whack,
yeah,
whack, no problem at all. Move to his left if he wanted to, and move to his right when he wanted to. I think he was right footed at the time.
yeah.
But um, him and Mal Beam are really good
Right,
friends,
right,
really
right.
good friends, man. And those two right there, if you were playing on that team for some reason, right, and you messed up, right, they would let you have it. It was a yard kick. It was a yard kick. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? But that was the passion
yeah,
that they had. But he was a very good, a skillful player, very serious, and just had that natural ability to be a baller, um, playing in the midfield, I should say. And I would say, man, that I remember playing like with so many guys, and I'm pretty sure you guys would have played with so many guys who didn't really get to that particular height, which easily could have gotten to that height at the in their football careers.
yeah,
And I think that he was one that could have went so much further than he did because
yeah,
I just thought he was very underrated. I thought he was a really good player,
yeah.
Mm.
really good player.
Mm. Yeah, I
Yeah,
know,
Stevie?
Steve.
with Ern, I just thought Ern just knew the game. Playing
Mm.
out of midfield, he just was very creative. Uh, Love playing with him because you knew if you made that run, he's going to give you that ball if he saw it. You knew it. Um, Ball control, ball handling, the way his passion for the game, it was all there. It was all there for him. And was a great player, great player.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah, he was great. He was great. He was special. As Dennis would say, he was special.
He was
Yeah.
special. He
He
had
was
that arrogance, didn't he?
very arrogant.
Some players pick a jersey number because of someone that they idolize, kind of thing. Steve, I remember you always wanted number 7, uh,
Yes.
Don and Aron, or Don and the Cross.
Yeah,
Wearing Don
yeah.
and Aron. They try to give you
Don the
6
line
one
of the
day.
core.
Yeah, they try to give you 6 one day. You're totally confused.
Yeah,
But
I'm not wearing 6. That's not my number.
why did you pick 7?
Well, because my brother-in-law wore number 7. Number 7 was the number. So, I mean, like I said, coming out watching him play and, cleaning his boots and during the games and stuff. He wore number 7, I wore number 7.
Mm. And Kevin, did you have a special number?
That was just a regular number 2. Number 2 stuck with me. Through most of my career. I just felt that, well, maybe because they gave me a number 2 because I was a fullback, but
Yeah,
Right.
it just stuck with me. But I mean, one thing about numbers back then, you had to, hey, not too many guys can wear the number 10, you know. I see
Right.
guys now wearing number 10. You couldn't wear that number 10 back in the day.
Right,
Number
right,
seven, number
right.
seven, you couldn't wear number 7. You know, I'll go to the coach and say, that guy can't wear number 7, man. He can't. You know what I mean? Because there are certain numbers were affiliated with players either locally or
Right.
internationally, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, certain players, but nowadays they were all crazy numbers, right? But I remember back in the day, numbers were serious.
Yeah.
It was a serious
You had
thing.
to earn those. You had to earn those things.
Nobody could read the number 10 unless you were a baller, but you had to what? Hey, coach, no, he can't read the number 10. No, 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 no.
You got another one, Dennis?
So both of you came through. I want to know how you guys, when you first got into the national setup, and who was your coach in the. I know Kevin, but I want Kevin to tell Bermuda how he got into, who was his coach when he first got into the national setup, and Stevie as well, whether it was through the senior national team or whether it was through the youth squads. How did you guys first get into the setup, and then who was your coach when you first got in?
Good, Steve.
When I got into the junior national team, if you can remember correctly, Mr. Frederick was big time in the BFA, and I knew him just in passing and stuff like that, and I knew they were training. So I said, "Look, Mr. Frederick, it was Carlos Grease and I said, Mr. Frederick, give us a chance, let's come up and just train with your national team." He says, "All right, you two young fellas, come up." So I started training with them and just broke in the team. Just worked hard to break in the team, and we had Coach Hart as head coach and Mr. Donald Dan. And both of those guys had a big influence on my match and how I played and how I handled myself, because, the hair was a little tight at times.
A little.
I'll take
So yeah, I ended up training 18 months with these guys, and we had brilliant players. We had Clevie Red, Stevie Riley was there, Kevin Bailey was there, Kelly Simmons was there, Mal Bean was there. Kevin, you was there? You was in that squad?
The national team?
Honduras.
Not Honduras.
Here's
I went to Mexico.
He was a little too young. He was a little too young.
I was too young. Yeah, that's right. I was too young.
Yeah.
That was 78,
Clevie
right?
Campbell. We had not Wayne, Marvin.
That was the 2 years before we guys, Dennis.
Yeah. Pardon me?
That was
No, I said that was the 2 years before me and Dennis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We had Philip Smith. Remember big Philip Smith?
Yeah.
Yes.
We had Spike from Somerset.
Marvin Campbell. Was it Vance Campbell?
Yeah. We had a squad that went ready. But now
that was one of the.
Now Richardson was a lethal striker.
Yeah. Now it was very good.
Yeah, he didn't look much like a baller, but the boy could put the ball in the goal. Charlie Emery.
Yeah.
He was there.
That was one of the hottest teams, Spike. That was one of the hottest teams.
Team.
I remember.
Was Porky at the squad too? Was Porky in that squad too, or the goalkeeper was Charlie Marshall? Was Charlie Marshall or Porky?
No, it was Porky.
Right. Okay.
Porky Benders.
Right. Okay.
And what do you name? Roger. I can't remember his name. But we guys, leading up to the tournament and everything, we were undefeated.
Yeah,
we took the first division teams, man. We played some football. Jack Castle played in there.
Right. Well,
we had some fantastic players, man.
That was a wicked
and all
team.
of us got along.
That was a wicked team.
I really this is how I feel, and I often see Coach Trott now and then, and I would tell him how disappointed I am that we didn't do anything down there, because we were such a good team. And why is it, they didn't play the team that was winning in Bermuda. Why go down there and change everything up?
Mm.
And he'll just put his head down there, shake his head. But, you know, we took 22 players down there. And they'll put the first team out there. You know, in the practice game, you'll play the first team. We beat the first team every single time. I scored every single training session. And then, you know, my mouth always gets me in trouble. So we line up against Haiti in the first game. And I'm sitting on the bench. I said, okay, well, you know, maybe I got a nice little 20, 30 minutes. We were losing 2-1. 5 minutes to go. Steve, come on. I get up, warm up and everything. Kid, I didn't even touch the ball. Now, you know, I was pissed. I was not feeling good about that. I had to collect myself, you know. But, you know, my mouth got me in trouble. So the next game, I was collecting green paint on my pants from me bleaching.
I didn't play.
Mr. Dan said, you know how Mr. Dan talks. You know, some players think they're better than what they are.
Yeah.
And I'm down there shaking my head. I'm here. You know, I think it was, but between Bernal Richard and I were the leading goal scorers for the squad leading up to this tournament. But now they ain't got a show. I got a show for 5 minutes. Like, what is that? You know, I was like trying to figure it out. Like, what is that telling us? Like, you know, we're lost it or something. But we just can't fit in this team. Like, why bring us? You know, this is the things that we're going through my mind. So, like I said, my mouth got me in trouble. So, hey, that's the way it is.
Consequences.
My mouth has always got me in trouble.
Kevin?
Well, mine is a little story because, I came off a pretty good season and I was elected to go into the youth team. And I was the backup fullback at the time to Troy Durham.
Okay.
That's right. And what had happened was that he had gotten an accident very close to when we were getting ready to go to our youth tournament. And he always reminds me, of course, when I see him, and, you know, Tori, he would. You got my possession, you know, you're lucky. So, but that's how I got my break, because I was trying out for the fullback position. Of course, you know, Tori was a center half most of the time as well, but he was heading ability because he was a short player, but he could head the ball very well. Yeah. But he was trying out for the fullback position, so that's how he got an accident, and I was able to slip in, and that's how I got my start in actually going on tour with the national youth team. We had a pretty good team too. Really, really, really talented team. That's how I know a lot of these Somerset guys. Like, I know them in and out. Like that team, like Dennis and Craig Biggie Brangman, Troy Barkley. Troy Barkley was my roommate on tour.
Anthony Bailey.
I remember one time, I'll tell a story. One time, Anthony Bailey, right? He was going to get to the cafeteria, and he must have woke up late. And the little shuttle was leaving and going towards the cafeteria. That boy just came running. I mean, running. And caught he caught up the actual, you know, the shuttle while it was going to the cafeteria. But the coaches there were Coach Rod and Pepe Dill.
Yes.
And Coach Rod really had a big influence on my career, because he always used to, when it came to like psychologically thinking about the game and making sure that he used to have this saying, you got to hang in there, man. You know? Hang in there, man. You know, and always had that ability to try and motivate, you know, the players and the team. Him along with Pepe and Roddy Bertrell too. So, I mean, those guys, I came up under this pretty well, coaches all the way into my national career. One of my tours I do remember, I went to Mexico. I think Dennis was there, and my roommate was Stevie. Stevie Dixon was my roommate, right? So
Cool.
yeah, and so I'm sleeping there, right? And like, he's in his other bed, I'm in my bed, and I look to the side, right? And his legs on his stomach, he sleeps on his stomach, right? And his legs are like that. And right, like, I looked over, right? I said, Steve.
Andrew was there too.
Yeah, that's right.
Andrew was there. Andrew said, "Look, Steve, I started having a conversation with you because I know you sitting up."
His legs were like perpendicular, like, and he sleeps like that. I said,
No.
But Mexico was but that was so serious. I remember that because it was a privilege to be for a lot of players that time. We traveled all through Mexico.
Yeah. That
So
was
a serious. Remember Dilly Dick, Edgar Smith, and
Edgar
Andrew,
Wood.
and good team.
Mom,
Heavy Head played in that team too.
Yes, Kenny.
Al Turbid. All this.
Yep.
That's what see. That's why Dennis is saying St. George's had a lot of players down there.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of players down there. So I just remember playing in that squad. That was a really good squad. I remember playing it. I remember this is my last thing. We had to get acclimatized because we're playing in Mexico, and Kenny Brett was there. Bumler was there too.
Yep.
Yeah. And we were sort of just getting acclimatized, so they ran us a bit just to try to get us, used to the temperature. And I mean, a lot of players were fainting, like dehydrated. I'll never forget, like Kenny dehydrated. Remember?
Yeah.
Kenny. Brett had to get some nourishment, man. But I just remember that star-studded team, and we had so many players in that squad. It was really good, really good team. But I had a good national team experience playing with those guys. There's two guys you see there. So I always remember this good old days. Dennis, did you go to England with me in primary in high school?
High school.
You remember Skegness?
John Beard.
That's right. John Beard took us. That's where our first national sort of duty came, I think.
Yes, school
because
boy.
They used to have an all-star game.
Yes.
They used to have an all-star game. They picked teams. The East played against West, and they picked a little team amongst all the good high school players. And John Berg used to take players over to England. Yes. And we went to Skegness in a tournament.
Yes.
Played throughout England.
And we ended up watching Nottingham Forest.
For
the European Championship.
European Champion, that's right. He stood up in the stands before the fans. Remember? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good experience.
Good experience.
So how did Steve, you guys? Go ahead.
Steve, you said something earlier that I want to kind of go back to. What girl stood out for you throughout your time?
What girl?
Yeah. There's always one special girl that you score.
Well, I had a few special girls, man. Yeah. They seem to connect that ball right, man, and the ball just starts doing a number in the air, and you're like, oh no, you better save this. It's gotta save it. It's gotta save it. I would definitely say the one against Hotels because I really didn't even look at the goal. I just hit it the first time, and to score a goal against Sam Newsom at the time because he was the number one. He was, and he had just came back, I think, from playing professional.
Right.
So that was very exciting. I almost ran the Hill Field squad after I scored that goal. But I want to go back on the influence. I can remember in the junior national team, and Coach Trott as a coach. Back then was the big wall up National Stadium, the big white wall and the clubhouse on top of the hill there. He used to take Coke paper cup, put it against the wall, and the guys that want to stay back had to drive this ball, hit the cup, and then they can go get the shower and stuff. So it was only maybe about 3-4 of us, of the strikers that would do it.
Mm-hmm.
I was determined, mate. I mean, I was there some late nights, mate, because he didn't want you passing. He wants you driving. And Coach Up in his day was one of the hardest kickers in Bermuda as far as every kick was concerned. And he would teach you technique, what you got to do and how you got to do. So, as far as my shooting ability and the accuracy and stuff like that, I can say Coach Trott taught me a lot about that because it was that time and he was just keep me behind and shoot at that cup. Keep it low. Keep it low. And then, Roddy Burchell used to tell me, he said, look, Steve, kick it wide first before you kick it over the top. Because at least if you kick it wide, it could hit somebody and go. You kick it over the top.
Good job.
That's true.
A lot of things you remember, man. It's just unbelievable with that. Had big influence of it. Pappy Deal, another one, big influence. We were training one time up PHC, and I guess he really didn't know, how well I can hit the ball. And I was running towards the girl, and Pappy kept saying, "Don't shoot, don't shoot." Well, I let her rip. I ain't being that man no more. After I came, Pappy wanted to say, "Hey, you can shoot anytime you want. You hear?"
That sounds like Pappy.
So that was fun. We talk about that quite a bit when I do see him. But yeah, I can say I'm had some fantastic coaches throughout my career that I'm learned so much from. Even as far as being a character and how you carry yourself. But it was very difficult to carry myself real good on that field because the intensity of the game always took me to another place.
Yeah.
I can remember. I don't really know who it was, but I came off the field after the game, got my shower, and I was talking, just mingling with everybody. He says, "You're not the same guy that was out on that field." You can't be.
So, we can take you there.
Yeah. Hey.
I think we're all like that, man.
Passion
is amazing, man.
Yeah.
Kevin, what about that special girl for you?
I'll say one special girl for me, and I'll never forget. Denny Seymour will always say that. I know you probably didn't even mean to hit it, but it was against PHC. And we were playing against PHC. Yeah. And the ball came to me from the half line. I was playing for Cougars at the time, actually. Ball came to me from the half line, picked it up, dribbled past it to Diego, made a 1-2. And I guess nobody thought I was going to shoot, but I said, just go ahead and let it fly. And I don't school too many girls, right? So I did take a shot, and she actually sealed it in. It was misjudged by Ty. I think Ty was in girls, something like that. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, but he misjudged before the ball went right in the net. So it didn't go in like a sizzler like Stevie would have hit him, but I struck it, but it was just outreached of the goalkeeper, so he couldn't get to it. So it ended up getting the pigeon. That's a goal. Good. Exactly. That's a goal.
Exactly.
That's a goal, right?
Yeah. I have a question. Okay. Dennis, what was your best goal?
My best header was I had one with my feet and one with my head.
Yes.
My best header was against North Village in the FA semifinal at BAA.
I remember that too.
Through Streaker.
Yeah.
We had a free kick on our left side, just outside the 18-yard box. And Lance Braun came to me in no uncertain terms and said, hey, big head. I'm shooting this ball in the box, see? So get your big head on it. And so said, so done. Lance, actually, the ball came so hard and right on the edge of the 18-yard box. And I headed the ball from the edge of the 18, and Streaker didn't see it until he picked the ball out of the net.
Yeah.
So that was my best header. And the best one on the floor was at BA again. We were playing PHC this night, and I was in possession in my half, and PHC always had a tendency to play the offside trap.
Mm-hmm.
So as I approached the halfway line, I had noticed that Mike Deal and Nails were out, and everybody was flat. So I just chipped the ball over there, sprinted through, and then passed the ball around Carlisle Crockle to score. And that was probably my best on the ground. And then another hat I scored was the most important one was not to let Eagles beat us up Somerset. This was probably one of the best games I played in. Somerset and Eagles, the game went back and forth. Uh, Eagles went out 1-0. Kenny scored. We came back, went ahead 2-1. Uh, Game ended up, Eagles went back ahead 3-2. And then with like the last touch of the game, Chocolate went down. I knew he was going to be this fullback. Said, let me just get in position in the box. Joe crossed the ball, had it at the back post, goal 3-3. And then right after that, the referee blew the whistle. So those are probably my three most important goals, playing for Somerset. But I always used to like scoring. Stevie, did you score against Somerset? I can't remember too much.
Hey, I hurt you guys a couple of times. Come on now. But
You did,
the
you
reason
did.
why I asked you that, Dennis, is because one time Somerset played Colts of PAC, a night game.
Against the man Trot.
Oh my word!
That was like a
And
40
hey,
yard,
and
40
let me
yard.
tell you, I was supposed to block that shot. I took my foot away, Mick. And then I came in, and you swung it, and you was 200 pounds. I said, look, by that time I would tell my knees straight off.
I remember that one. I remember that one. That was a good one
Hey,
too.
hey, you hit that ball so hard, man. It
That was
was a
like
beauty.
35 yards. That was like 35
Easy,
yards.
easy.
Yeah.
You just came through and hit him, mate.
I remember.
I put my foot up there to block it. I said, no, you won't. I took it away. It was rattling that.
There's some good days, man. Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, that's the reason why I asked you, because I remember that one so clearly.
The
That
man
was
Trot,
one beautiful girl.
remember that.
Final question, Dennis?
Okay, so I asked everybody who comes on this same question. What advice would you give to any aspiring footballer, sportsman, to go to the next level? What advice would you give from your point of view?
The advice I'll give to them is that, they got to have some passion for the sport if they're into whatever sport they're into. And they've got to put their time in. They've got to put their work in. Um, they've got to watch the game, learn the game. It's so important. And you got to be physically fit. You got to get out there and work hard to get your body in shape to do any sport. So if you want to be a soccer star, sailing star, basketball star, you got to put your work in. And if you got talent, you got to utilize that talent and realize that you got it. Work on it.
Kevin?
I agree with everything that Bert said about that. But the other aspect is that if you want to be competitive in this game, make sure that you do all those things that Bert said, but also listen. Always listen. Don't think you know everything. I think so many of the players nowadays think they know everything about the game, but you should be a player that's really physical, that's going to have the passion, you have the attributes, but always be humble in trying to say that, well, maybe if I listen to my coach and try to do something this way, I might learn something different than what I already know. So it's okay to have the passion and physicality of it all, but be coachable, you know, be coachable. Allow, that intake so that you can probably improve yourself. It's always something that you think you know that you probably don't really know. I think we have a lot of players like that during the game today. Don't want to listen.
Good.
That's some good advice at the end there.
Beautiful.
Good advice.
Well said.
Well, we've come to the end of this walk down memory lane with Stephen Dickinson and Kevin Grant. Dennis, next week there will be no show as I will be arriving in Tokyo
Okay. Oh, wow.
next week this time.
All right, Earl. Well,
You want me to
listen.
hold the camera? I can hold the camera.
I could have took his bags or something.
So we will pick this up 2 weeks from now.
Okay.
And we'll be. I'll do it from Tokyo, but yeah, I'll be there, and we can pick up the next show week after next.
So that's the Tuesday before cup match.
Yeah, that's it. Tuesday before you get your bath.
We'll have a lot to say on that night.
Oh, not a problem. 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 Yeah, the water's gonna be lukewarm.
It's hot for you.
No.
It's definitely
You know,
hot.
we're used to getting in fire. You know,
It's real hot.
But yeah, we look forward to resuming week after next at 7:30 for another edition of a Walk Down Memory Lane. Guys, thank you very much for tonight. Appreciate you, and we'll reach out again sometime soon to have you back on. Okay?
Cool.
Anytime.
Take care.
All right, guys.
Enjoy your night.
Cool.
Thanks.